Food for Thought with Professor David Ndetey.
Welcome to Food for Thought with Professor Ndetey. Now, last week, we started off an interesting conversation about borderline personality disorder. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. I'm getting to learn so many new things as we have these conversations. Well, we didn't quite finish. In fact, we barely began as we got to understand what this disorder is all about. So we want to pick up this conversation from where we left off last week. Mchukue kalamu na karatasi so that we can get ourselves educated, so that we can also tell others, because like Professor keeps telling us, it is this knowledge that we share with others that will kill the stigma associated with mental health issues. Let's pick up the conversation again.
A common story goes like this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure somebody somewhere will be able to identify with this. Mm-hmm. Usually a girl, and girls tend to have more problem with the emotions than boys, because boys deal with the emotion in a slightly different way than girls. A very common problem will be something like this. Is a girl, a young girl, maybe high school or whatever, or even university, who is seeing a boy somewhere.
Yeah.
And the parents get to know about it. And they tell her, we don't want that relationship. You are still in school.
Yes.
We want you to concentrate on passing your exams. That's more important.
Yes.
By the way, I've seen it is happening between parents and university students, by the way. And the girl says, no, I am going to continue seeing him. It doesn't matter what you think. I am an adult. I'm going to do that. And then the mother puts an ultimatum. You either stop seeing that boy or you see me.
Yes. Yes.
And so the girl goes and takes some tablets. Maybe comes with some time. Maybe I don't want to mention medicines because I don't want to give people ideas.
Yes.
They go and take some tablets or they take some poison, and then they come running to the mother. Mom, I have taken all the tablets here. I am going to die. Go and look for a daughter who will do exactly what you want.
Oh.
Now, you know the dynamics change very fast.
Yes.
Yeah. What the mother does is calls an ambulance or calls a vehicle, a car or whatever, pulls that guy into hospital, into the car, rushes them to a casualty somewhere to see a doctor. And then the doctor or the professional, one of the things they will do is to do what is stomach washout, gastric washout. And use things like charcoal to suck out the poison. Yeah. And I can tell you it's not very comfortable. So the next time there is an emotional problem between the mother and the daughter, they will know better. They will handle it in a slightly different way.
Okay.
The mother will go for dialogue, and maybe the girl will not want to take this poison again because she does not want to go through that procedure of stomach washout, which is very uncomfortable. So you can see here is an emotional problem relating to the mother, relating to other people, but basically an emotional problem. They cannot control it. So that's a very common presentation, and I am sure very many families see this kind of behavior happening. Or it can be a girl who is, or anybody, you and me, or anybody, but of course more in young people, as I just said, who is so emotionally overwhelmed. And he says, I have tried my best. Maybe I'm getting a message from God that He does not care for me. And so they take this, whatever they take, and they hope that if it is the will of God, He will take them away, they will die. And if it's not His will, they will survive. It's like testing the benevolence of God. It may be because, as I said in the earlier case, give the story that I gave, they just wanted somebody to feel guilty because they are not able to relate very well emotionally with this kind of person. So it is this person struggling with their own emotions.
Yeah.
How those emotions relate to the people around him, and how these emotions relate to the environment in which this person is living. So it is somewhere along those three dimensions.
You shared that story and you reminded me of two incidences. I remember there's one time, quite a number of years ago, there was a musician, a Jamaican musician who was coming to town. And there's a girl who wanted to go. And the parents said no. And she actually took her own life.
Yes.
I've also heard of young men who take their own life because their soccer team lost.
Yes.
We've had several cases of that. So I'm wondering, is it something similar?
It could be similar. But also remember this. See, when they attempt to behave as if they are taking their lives, the motive is not to die. The motive is not to die. The primary motive is to manipulate other people, is to make them feel guilty because they are so bad that they have called this person to do this kind of thing. But in the process of, say, taking tablets, they may overdo it without knowing. So if they die, we call it accidental suicide. They never intended to die. As opposed to a person who is really very serious about dying, they go out of the way to hide the fact that they are very true. They are trying to commit suicide.
Very true.
And they will do things so that they will not survive to the extent possible. They go and jump from the height of maybe 10-storied house. They will throw themselves in front of a moving car and things like that, and they make sure that they don't get caught before, so that people only get to know about it
once they are gone.
When they are gone, these other people will do things, and they make it known that they have done things and that they are going to die. Make believe that they are going to die as a way of manipulating other people. So it's about emotions.
Okay, then I'm just thinking about some of the things sometimes I hear in my pastoral work, where you have young people in a relationship, and sometimes one of them presents a case where they say, this person, sometimes I don't understand them.
Yes.
We had an argument.
Yes.
It was not something big. It was something so small. And they seem to be blowing it out of proportion.
Absolutely.
And if I don't agree with them, they keep saying they will commit suicide.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we are talking about. That's the same story with a girl who is seeing a boy, and the mother says no.
Okay.
Yes. And sometimes I think I like the African way of doing this.
Yes.
Some of them get thoroughly beaten and and I have been told those stories here.
Yes.
They get thoroughly beaten, particularly when the dad goes mad about it. And they know. I'm not saying you do this, because these are people that they need help.
They need help.
They need help.
Yes.
They know I am not going to manipulate my dad emotionally by this, because this is going to be the consequence. So sometime when you put your foot down and say, don't go on beyond that, they may get it right, or sometimes they try to manipulate the situation further by doing some of the things that I've just said.
Okay. I'm just wondering, for people who have this disorder, would I be right to think they also have a struggle with their identity and who they are? Basically,
that's what we are to say. That's what we are trying to say in various ways. Yes, they have a problem in identity. am I the problem? Or is it you who is a problem?
Or is it the environment?
Or is it the environment?
Okay.
Yes. As opposed to a person who, under normal circumstances, will say, yes, the environment is not right. There's nothing I can do about my friends around me.
Yeah.
I have to live in this environment. These are my friends. I am going to change and do things in a way that is relatively normal in relation to the environment and the people that I'm staying with. That's what a normal person will do.
Yeah.
But a person with this problem, then they cannot bring themselves to reason out that way. And of course, that as we may, if we have time, those are some of the ways of handling these people to get them to, as it were, break down their behavior, the triggers that lead to the way they behave, and can you then control those triggers? That's in terms of management.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, what's the difference between this and maybe something like bipolar or multiple personality disorder?
Yes. I'm glad you mentioned multiple.
Yeah.
You see, increasing research is showing that it's very difficult for a person with a mental disorder to have only one mental disorder.
Oh.
You can have several. That's what we call comorbidity.
Okay.
And there's a parallel even in physical medicine. You can have diabetes. You can have high blood pressure.
Yes.
You can have problems with the kidneys. In fact, they tend to go together.
Yeah.
This is comorbidity. Yeah. So even and this comorbidity cuts across. You can have a physical condition and a mental disorder occurring at the same time. I think now people accept this as normal. For example, they will tell you, I have high blood pressure because I have been, this and that has been stressing me for a long time.
Yes.
I think people now understand that. But it's possible for people with these disorders, we say personality disorder, to have several other conditions. The commonest of them may be a mood disorder, it may be manic, it may be mania, it may be depression, it can be anxiety. They tend to go together.
Okay.
Yes, we call it comorbidity. Yeah, and even with personality disorder, does not mean that you can only if you have one personality disorder, you cannot have other personality disorders. That's what maybe we call multiple personality or things like that.
Yeah.
Comorbidity.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a new term.
Yeah.
That's a new term I've learned today.
Oh.
Comorbidity.
Comorbidity.
Yeah. Okay.
Several conditions occurring together. Be comorbidity in physical condition, as I've just said.
Yes.
It can be comorbidity in mental disorders. It can be comorbidity cutting across both physical and mental disorders.
Okay. Unfortunately, our time is up for today. Time flies so fast when you are having fun, and I'm really having fun getting some information and getting educated on mental health issues. We haven't quite finished with borderline personality disorder. We'll pick up this conversation again next week on Food for Thought with Professor Ndetei. Have yourselves a great day.
Food for Thought with Professor David Ndetei.